All right, hello everybody. My name's Dr. Cheryl Meyer. I am here in my office, and today we are going to do this lyrical teaching through. I was so excited. I was falling asleep last night and I was just praying because I get this from being really quiet. I practice quiet every day and I totally recommend that. So I started singing this song as I was falling asleep, and I'm like, oh, that can be our song, because I've meditated and contemplated so much on this song anyway, and it's a Chicago song. So I'm going to play it because it's a cover, and I'm just putting this part out on YouTube for free. And I haven't made anything from YouTube yet. So I think it's still allowed to do that. And I appreciate the song from Chicago, a nod to them for creating it. And then I'm going to keep doing this teaching. I'm going to teach from the lyrics. And I have all of these psychological and spiritual insights that I get because I've been a psychologist for over 20 years and been meditating for a number of years. And you get all of this understanding and wisdom about life, and it starts showing up and applying in your life because you leave room for it to, it's kind of like a seed to take root. And so welcome to this wild way of learning. Now there's other people in my office and I share, like, not this space, but out in the hall there's other offices. And so this is the first time I've brought my guitar in to the office, so I'm gonna play it really lightly because I know someone else is in session across the hall, but not directly next door. So I'm like, I want to get this song in before my next door suite mate comes in. All right. So I know Elliot, my friend. I was friends with this guy, Elliot Smith. He was a musician and he's passed away now, but he would sing so quietly, but it would just draw everybody in. So I was like, don't apologize for singing quietly. It's like, anyway, so it's called Beginnings. And anyway, it's so cool. I'm so excited we get to enter into this song. So if you're not used to this, like, just bear with the song part. And if you really like just the song part, then just sit with the song part and go from there, right? Okay, let's see if the guitar is going to be in. All right. I just looked it up, so don't, this is not my day job is singing, but now I'm learning how, right? When I'm with you, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. I'm with you, that's all that matters. Time passes much too quickly when we're together laughing. I wish I could sing it to you. I wish I could sing it to you. Oh, oh, hey. Whoa, oh, hey, hey. Mostly I'm silent. Mostly I'm silent. Never think of bad words to say. When I kiss you, I feel 1,000 different feelings. The color of chills all over my body. And when I feel them, I quickly try to decide which one try to put into words, no try to put into words. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Mostly I'm silent, silent. La, 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 la. Only the beginning, only just the start, only the beginning, only just the start. It's only the beginning, what I want to feel forever, only just the start. All right, so that song's so touching to me. I just was remembering, because now this might age me a little bit, but we're all ageless in the spirit, right? And so I was a little kid and my dad would play this. I haven't spoken to my dad in almost 20 years now, maybe 18 years. And but he'd play that on the 8-track, right? Oh, the person, I share my office sometimes with someone, and she's got that teddy bear. I never notice it really, but she's got it for the way she does therapy. But I'm like, all right, bring a teddy bear in. Aw, I forgot. It's almost like, you know, the day. Anyway, and so people give each other teddy bears and chocolates, and I always had these roses. These roses are what I brought in. Anyway, so understand. I wish I had that. Maybe I'll make it afterwards. Maybe I'll make a minute reel afterwards of Pavel Florinsky's quote. I'll have to write it out by hand or something. But there's this mystic priest who talked about when any artist goes and sings a song like this, or paints a painting or whatever, that they go into the spiritual realms and they see these. He was a priest, right? An Orthodox priest. He was married and a physicist as well, and just a brilliant man. Anyway, but they go into these the heavenly realms, and they get the images. They're like infused, and then they put them into words, right? Just like this guy was describing. It doesn't say here on the chords who wrote it from the Chicago band, so I'll put it in the notes. Let me write a note to make sure, because I always want to attribute like who wrote these songs, because you know they had to spend the time. Mostly I'm silent. I forgot that was part of this. And I was talking, I didn't know why I was talking so much about I'll put Chicago note who wrote it, because they had such this beautiful band with all of the instruments and everything, and so what a great band. That's like when music used to be. I'm not gonna say it's not music now, but you know. All right, so let me write. All right, so let's get into this. So what I was saying about Pavel Florinsky, I bring that up because, you know, sometimes when we're doing therapy in here, when we're here, I'll show you the couch, sitting on the couch, right? And we're doing therapy, our brain, our logical brain gets in the way, and it will get defensive. And I'll have to ask my friend if that was too loud for her. But anyway, it gets defensive and it starts coming up with shutting down and blaming. We blame the other person, and we don't want to see our own faults, because in childhood, when we were abused or trauma happened or we were ignored or whatever, then what happened in that is there was a lot of shame involved in that. And oftentimes we took on the shame of our family. we were trying to offload it off of them so that they could they could get some relief as well, because they felt it's like if you feel like you're this little child and they're these big giants, right? And so it's like when they're down and depressed and in shame and not knowing how to just go to God, right? Remember this now. I welcome all religions, right? Remember, we have this horizontal connection with God, and we get to be grounded on this earth. We're put in these physical bodies. We have these physical bodies, and we're souls, right? And housed in these bodies, right? So both is there, and then we get to connect with people horizontally. And this always reminds me to come back into this oneness. And if you think of the temple of God is this quiet space where if you've watched the movie, right, and you know about the Ark of the Covenant is where God told David and Solomon that he would dwell in this ark, in this mercy seat where mercy is. And so they would have this ark in the Holy of Holies. So there's an inner courtroom inside that the priest could only go in like once a year and bring the sacrifices for all the people. Now, all of that was symbol for what Christ was going to do later. But, even if you don't believe that, or just be present with, I invite you, you're welcome to do whatever you want. I was meeting with a priest, he's a bishop now, and he's just like, I got Christ, that's all I got. So like, if you want something else, go somewhere else. But I present to you Christ as the God-man who always spoke and lived and acted in highest consciousness. And so I was all about learning highest consciousness and allowing my idea of love. You might see my other necklace. My idea of love to expand. Jesus said, this is it, right? A new commandment I give to you, entele, follow my telos, is to love one another. And he used the word, in Greek, it's agape. I forgot what it is in Aramaic. But it's this transcendent love, all right? Now, sometimes our art goes to the transcendent. Sometimes I'll show this picture. I put it on my, I drew this I had a Van Gogh, but it's just this side of my business card, and so it's called At Eternity's Gate. And so it's just like, and there's this beautiful thing that Van Gogh said about it. So Van Gogh wrote it, but I didn't know I could draw. I had this drawing upside down on a piece of paper, and then I had my sketchbook upside down. And I shrunk it for my card, but anyway, the transcendent comes from those higher realms. Christ came down from those higher realms. All of this deep love, this real love. If you're sick of transactional and love bombing and narcissistic love and all that stuff, narcissistic quote love, then this is what I'm talking about. Is although this song sounds like it, the spiritual truths and deep psychological truths are often a paradox, right? They're both and. It seems like, oh, this person is just laying on the love thick. But it's like, when you open your heart up to the divine, I have 55 videos now on mysticism by this Christian woman from 1910. So it's a free copyright book, but it's like it's studying the nature and development of spiritual consciousness. So I have 55 hours. I was just going to read the book myself. And now there's 55 hours out there so you can understand what it is. She talks about other mystics and people of different religions too. Some, but she doesn't go into anything occult. So I appreciate that, because I say I've been off-roading and got really, really burned from going ahead of God. Like, Mary said yes and took those things into her heart. But Eve and Adam stepped out of God's will and took before it was time for them to take. And you never need to do that. You never need to do that. That's always the temptation, because we grow up. Remember when I was just talking about, we have this shame. So we from internalizing our parents' shame, even if they were trying to be loving to us, whatever they internalize, we often learned how to be a man or a woman, whatever, from our mom and dad, and so, or whoever, who are our caregivers, and so we internalize their shame, whatever. So I know people that are children of parents who were abused in some ways themselves, or one of the parents was, and it's just like there's a lot of shame that they picked up, they didn't mean to pick up. So like, don't blame yourself. But again, like God offers this forgiveness, this I take the sins of the whole world upon myself. Christ, that's why Christ did that. He was perfection for us. And so let's get into some of the lyrics, and then because I don't get to quote them when I go to the next part of this. I'll tell you in a second. So it goes, when I'm with you, right? When you're with the divine, when you're completely surrendered to this God love, right? And this God love is meant to flow through you to other people. I mean, it's so wild, because yes, I went to college and graduate school for 9 years, and my school integrated Christianity and the spiritual understanding, but they were very rigorous about teaching us psychology. They were accredited and all this stuff, and like they wanted to be this really fancy school, and what's the word, academic, very academic. Oh, part of my prayer was like, just get through without being bitter. But so there's so much in psychology that we can learn. Psychology is ology, the study of the psyche, which is your soul, actually. So I always looked at it as, I'm just here to study the soul. I don't know what y'all are here for, but I had to study everything that they taught us to study, or I wouldn't have passed, and got my doctorate. So with that is, there are a lot of psychological understandings. Like, we understand that we internalize programs and ways, automatic ways that our parents acted from childhood. Like, one example, right? This is just a silly example, but I hope it will help you in your life, is like, my mom used to wash our eggs. She'd take them out of the carton and wash them. I'm like, what are you doing, Mom? Why are you washing the eggs? And she's like, oh, because my mom always did. And until that time, she hadn't really thought of it. It's because my grandma, they lived on a farm, so they had a chicken coop. So there was all sorts of stuff on those eggs that you had to clean off. And so my mom just got used to washing off eggs when, once they come to us, they're really clean and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. If we could all have chicken coops and eggs. And anyway, I had that for a very small season of my life. But anyway, so, wow, there's so much in that. There's so much in that. Maybe I'll get to talk about that in a little bit. The main teaching that I kept getting, because I was just gone and I was silent for a few days, and anyway, is that now this is psychological and spiritual. You know how Jesus, when he's on the cross, he says, forgive them, they know not what they're doing. They don't know that they're acting in ignorance, that they're crucifying the most loving person that came here, that all of us, the Romans and the Jewish people. So that in that entails everybody. It's like, from the Judaistic perspective, it's like there's the people that God revealed himself to, and then there's the pagans, the Gentiles, the nations, the other people, and both took part in crucifying Christ. And so it's both of our natures too, our spiritual and our flesh nature as well. We did that every time we turn away from perfect love and aren't perfectly loving towards ourselves, towards our spouses or loved ones or neighbors or strangers, or praying for our enemies, right? I just made a 1-minute video about praying for our enemies. Anyway, but any of that's why Christ had to die, because he was perfect in all of those ways. And so you don't have to carry all of this shame. So I was just going to say, I was like, so many people, we come in for therapy, and I see people that don't believe in God at all, or some people that do, that find me because they want someone that shares this faith practice, or other people that understand. Like, I was like almost crying in my car because I have this deep love for Rumi, and I don't know what to do about it, because I just cleared my house out of all of these books that I love so much, that I loved, but I just felt called. And anyway, I was listening to Mere Christianity on the way here. It's so good, by C.S. Lewis, and I think it's free if you're in Canada, but you know, you can, like, I invite you to pay for that book, or else. He did it as a BBC talk, but he was just saying that the true spiritual people, most people won't even recognize them. They won't look like religious types, the normal religious types, right? But he says that they recognize each other over different creeds, and like, he says, he's like, I don't know, but it seems like they'll recognize each other, and they always seem to have time. And you're like, well, how do they have time? And you think you are doing a favor by spending time with them, because they look like the rejects of society, right? But really, they're doing you a favor, right? Because they know their true identity. I'm not saying like I'm completely in that category, but it's just like, we know how deeply loved we are, and how deeply loved everybody is. And so Christ, like, I was learning from my meditation, and wanting to deal with my problems that come up in my life. I'm facing a lot of different stuff, right? Like tragic stuff, life or death stuff. And so I'm sure it's not easy for you. I welcome you. Like, you're so welcome here. I hope my heart, you feel the love. But even if you don't feel it, just know that you are loved. All right. So the information, about the information. So let's get our minds and our hearts all aligned. Click, click, back in the groove. I got this in a meditation once. Since I was friends with Elliot, it's like, I was seeing like a record player, and it was like, you want to get the needle in the groove of the song. That's what happens when you align back with divine love, with the creator, the divine love from which we came. There's so much I want to get in this first part, right? And so what I was seeing is that, let's say everyone gets packets, right, of information. Like, if I have this, right? Let's say this notepad represents one packet, and there's packet, I was thinking 1 through 1,000, but let's just keep it narrow, 1 through 100. And so some people get packets 1, 2, 3, 21 through 26, 52, and 68, or whatever, 99. And other people get packets 51 through 80. Or some people get just packet 88 through 92, and they get to focus really deeply on that. That's what God was showing me. I say through the Holy Spirit, right? Because I was in prayer, and because I was trying to forgive someone that was very hard for me to forgive, that I felt bullied by, but that's okay. Like, I'm not excusing, I'm not saying it's okay. It's like, it was a repetition of something I experienced in childhood. So maybe that program was getting cleared out of me, like it can get cleared out of you. And it doesn't mean that I deserved the bullying, but I was like, wow, everyone's just operating from within the programming, or the packets that they got. And so my friend the other day sent me these 2 amazing videos about how misogynistic the church has been, and even before that, and other religions, and like, thinking of women as a little bit more than animals, or treating them like slaves. Like, we ought not to have slaves. You know I'm saying that. But back in those days, people would be like, would be starving, and so they would offer to serve people for money or whatever. Anyway, but so there's so much to that too. But what I was getting was like, oh, well, these people treating me in derogatory ways just because I'm a woman or whatever, or they have their set microscopic, or Elliot told me once, right? He's like, Cheryl, just remember, every time you step out of a box, you're just getting into a bigger box. So you're still in a box. So like, have compassion and kindness and patience towards other people, because they don't have the same packets you do. And if you want to, if you are a Christian, or if you're not and you want to study this more, study when Christ was in the temple when he was 12 or 12 plus they count the time in the stomach, so he would have been like bar mitzvah age. But anyway, he was left in the temple, and Mary's like, why did you do this to us? And he's like, why were you worried? Don't you know I must be about my Father's business? Now that he's like an adult, this is how I see it. But just study that, because then you'll see an interaction how someone that was perfect was in a way deeper mindset than where Mary and Joseph were. So he just assumed, let's say, I'm guessing, that they could be on that same mind. Oh, my friend that doesn't even call himself a Christian, he was teaching, he took like 2 hours out of his time from Europe. He's like calling me to help me understand. He's like, they're just not on the same wavelength. And I was like, wow, I just got that same teaching through packets. So just don't judge people, whatever religion they say they are or they aren't. Like, God is working on everybody. God is the Father and Creator, Father and Mother, sustains us, nurtures us like a mother, and created us. Like, anyway, and so he's working on everybody. So like, just I want so much love to everybody. I'm so about love. All right, so when you're with God, when you're aligned with this real love, and it's just flowing through you, and it starts healing all your old shame, it starts taking away your shame, and you don't have to carry all this sin anymore, and you start wanting to do better just organically, even though it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I was like, oh yeah, I really want to be single right now, and not anyway, not engaging in things that other people get to engage in. But I keep seeing relationships all around me, but it's still, I won't go into that. I'm not trying to like virtue signal. I have no desire to do that at all, because like, what if I fall? Like, I don't plan to. God help us all, right? But okay, so I look at this like, when you get back aligned with love, then the fullness of love is in you, and you get detached from other people because you don't need anybody anymore. And it's not like, okay, I'm white knuckling it. They call it white knuckling. I'm trying to detach. It goes, when I'm with you, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. I'm with you. That's all that matters. And once you know this love, you know how to give it to other people. And so it's like, that's so funny, because C.S. Lewis was just saying, the chapter is called The New Man, if you want to just look up that chapter. And he was saying, these people, they love more than most people around you, but they need you less. And so it's so weird. It's like all these spiritual paradoxes. It doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing. I'm with you. That's all that matters. Time passes much too quickly when we're together laughing, when I'm in joy, when I learn how to be in real joy. All right. And then when I kiss you, there's this holy kiss, right? Kiss is like a union. It's a miniature symbol of divine union, becoming one again with God, but you still retain yourself. Anyway, I feel 1,000 different feelings, the color of chills all over my body. All right, so, but mostly I'm silent. Like, we keep asking God to speak to us, speak to us, speak to us. We want to hear you. And it's like he speaks through the silence. I'll often just sit here if I have a break and look, there's trees out there, and I just watch the wind go through the trees. And I'm sure when people walk by, if my door is open, like, what is she doing? I look like an idiot to them. All right, so I'm going to do the rest of this teaching on my own website, which is called yoursoulsongs.com. And but be assured that there was so much information already in this. I'm going to just break it down and open up about the packets more, and so we can forgive more readily and understand where other people are, but not make excuses for them. So thanks so much for being here. I welcome you to go to the next part. All right, much love.